Imagine living a life so resilient that nothing can disturb your calmness. Picture a life where no matter what happens around you, whether it's harsh criticism, unexpected problems, or the chaos of daily life, you remain peaceful. You stay steady, unshaken, no matter what challenges come your way. How incredible would it be to move through life with that kind of inner peace? I know, it sounds almost too good to be true, right? But what if I told you that it is possible? What if I told you that you can achieve a state of mind where your peace isn't swayed by the storms of life? Today, we're going to explore 10 profound Buddhist teachings that will guide you towards achieving this kind of powerful inner resilience. These teachings aren't just abstract ideas or ancient wisdom. They are practical tools that you can start using right now to create a calm, peaceful place inside yourself, no matter how turbulent the world around you gets. Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." This simple yet powerful quote holds the key to everything we're about to explore. True peace isn't something you find by controlling the external world. It's something that's already within you, waiting to be discovered, and once you tap into it, nothing, absolutely nothing, can disturb your sense of calm and well-being. Think about this for a moment. How much time and energy do we waste chasing peace outside of ourselves? We look for it in success, in approval from others, in the next vacation, or in the hopes that things will just get easier. But what if, instead of looking for peace outside, we could cultivate it within? What if the key to handling life's challenges with grace was already inside of us, just waiting to be unlocked? The teachings I'll be sharing today are not just theories or philosophies. They are practical, actionable steps you can start applying to your life right now. These teachings have been tested by millions over thousands of years, and they can guide you towards becoming unshakable in the face of life's ups and downs. Whether you're dealing with stress, negative people, uncertainty, or just the overwhelming nature of life in general, these 10 Buddhist principles will give you the tools to stay centered and strong. If you're ready to take charge of your inner peace and make sure that nothing, no person, no situation, no circumstance, can disturb it, then keep watching. The wisdom you're about to learn could be exactly what you've been searching for to unlock that deep, lasting sense of tranquility and resilience. So, let's dive into the first principle. And together, let's begin the journey toward a life where peace doesn't depend on the world around us, but on the power we cultivate within. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Section 1. Building resilience through clear purposes. The journey toward inner peace begins with resilience, the ability to stay steady and grounded even when life seems to push us off course. Resilience doesn't just happen. It's something we build, something we nurture by first establishing a clear, unwavering purpose in life. When you know exactly what you want and what matters most to you, your purpose acts as a beacon, guiding you through even the most challenging times. It becomes the steady compass that points you toward calm, even when stormy seas threaten to overwhelm you. I can vividly recall a time when I was younger, a time when everything in my life seemed to be falling apart. Projects I had poured my heart into failed. Relationships I thought were strong began to unravel, and I found myself questioning everything, unsure of my next steps. The weight of those struggles felt suffocating, as though the world around me was slowly collapsing. Every day felt like another setback. But one morning, after an exhausting period of self-doubt and confusion, I decided to step back and take a moment of reflection. I asked myself, what truly matters to me? What is my purpose in all of this? In that moment of clarity, I picked up a pen and began writing. I wrote down not just what I wanted to achieve in my career, but also what I wanted in my personal life, in my relationships, and in the way I wanted to feel each day. I gave myself the space to reconnect with the things that mattered most, the things that aligned with my values. That moment of reflection, that act of writing down my purpose, became a turning point. It became my guiding light. In the midst of all the chaos, that clarity became my steady flame, giving me direction, providing a path to follow even when everything else seemed uncertain. Buddha's wisdom speaks directly to this experience. Your work is to discover your work. And then, with all your heart, give yourself to it. This isn't just about finding a job or a career. It's about discovering what truly resonates with you on a deeper level. It's about connecting with your inner sense of purpose and then committing to it wholeheartedly. That sense of purpose, when deeply understood, acts as a powerful anchor in your life. It's like having a bright star that guides you no matter how dark the night might get. The challenges, the failures, and the disappointments will still come. But when your purpose is clear, it provides you with a sense of steadiness that allows you to stay focused and calm. When you know what matters most to you, you begin to develop resilience that isn't easily shaken by external circumstances. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable start to feel more like stepping stones. Instead of being swept away by the turbulence of life, you learn how to weather the storms with strength and clarity. Whether the challenge is a difficult decision at work, a personal struggle, or navigating the complexity of relationships, having a clear purpose allows you to stay grounded. It helps you to rise above, to keep moving forward even when the path ahead seems unclear. Take a moment today to reflect on your own purpose. What truly matters to you? What values do you hold dear? And how do they guide the way you live your life? These aren't just theoretical questions. They are the foundation of your resilience. When you begin to focus on what truly aligns with your core beliefs, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. Life's distractions will lose their power to stress you out, and instead of feeling overwhelmed by external pressures, you'll feel empowered by your purpose. Your goals, aligned with your values, will become the solid ground beneath your feet, and in moments of uncertainty, they will give you the strength to keep going. Your purpose is not just your guide for today, it is your anchor for the future, helping you build resilience that will carry you through life's unpredictable journey. Every time you reconnect with your purpose, you strengthen that inner resilience. With a clear sense of what truly matters, you will find the courage to face challenges with unwavering strength and a calm, centered heart. So, take a deep breath, look inward, and start writing. Let your purpose become your compass, guiding you toward the inner peace and resilience you've always had within you. Waiting to be discovered. Section 2. Becoming untouchable to criticism and negativity. Life is full of criticism, negativity, and harsh words. There's no denying that. From the people we work with, to family and friends, to strangers we encounter in passing. It seems that some people find it all too easy to pass judgment or express disapproval. These words can feel like daggers, sharp and cutting, leaving us with a sense of hurt, frustration, or even anger. But Buddhism teaches us a crucial lesson that, when truly understood, can change the way we experience these moments. It's not the words or actions of others that cause us suffering, it's how we respond to them. The truth is, we have complete control over our emotional response. No one can hurt us without our consent. I remember a time when I worked with a colleague who seemed to criticize everything I did. No matter how hard I worked, no matter how much effort I put in, their feedback was always laced with negativity. Their words would often leave me feeling as if I were not enough, like nothing I did could ever be good enough. At first, I reacted with frustration, sometimes even anger. The more they criticized, the more I felt myself being drawn into a spiral of negativity, allowing their words to take root in my mind. But as time went on, I began to see the toll it was taking on my peace. I started to realize that I was giving them power over me. One day, after yet another round of harsh words, I paused. I stopped in my tracks, took a deep breath, and reflected. I asked myself, why does this bother me so much? The answer was simple. I was allowing it to. I was giving their criticisms more weight than they deserved. What I hadn't realized before was that their words weren't really about me. They were more about their own struggles and frustrations. Their criticisms were a reflection of their own insecurities, not a measure of my worth. This realization didn't come easily, but once it did, everything shifted. Buddha's words, "You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger," resonated deeply with me. I had been punishing myself by letting their words affect me. by reacting with anger and frustration. But in truth, the power to let go of that negativity was always within me. The key was not allowing someone else's actions to disturb my inner peace. In that moment, I understood that I had the ability to choose my response. I didn't have to let their words control me. This shift in perspective didn't mean that their criticism stopped. It didn't mean that the negativity disappeared. But what it did mean was that I no longer felt helpless in the face of it. I was no longer a victim to their words. By choosing not to let their criticism affect me, I reclaimed my own power. I took back control over my emotions. And in doing so, I preserved my peace. The next time someone criticizes you, take a moment to pause. Breathe deeply. Resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, choose to stay calm. You don't need to defend yourself or prove anything to anyone. Remind yourself that you are in control of how you respond. Let go of the need to be validated by others. And instead, find validation within yourself. Your worth is not defined by the opinions of others, but by your own sense of self. This practice doesn't just apply to criticism from colleagues or friends. It applies to every situation where someone's words or actions threaten to disrupt your inner calm. Whether it's a family member who always seems to have something critical to say, a stranger who cuts you off in traffic, or a situation that feels unjust, you have the power to choose your response. You can choose to react with anger, frustration, or resentment, or you can choose to stay grounded, to protect your peace, and to walk away with your dignity intact. The more you practice this, the stronger your resilience becomes. The more you choose not to be affected by negativity, the less power it has over you. And over time, you will find that fewer things bother you. People's harsh words won't hold the same weight. Situations that once triggered anger or hurt will no longer rattle you. Instead, you will develop an inner strength that shields you from the negativity of the outside world. Remember, you are the guardian of your peace. And once you realize that, nothing, no criticism, no negativity, no harsh words, can touch you, you become untouchable, not in the sense of being cold or indifferent, but in the sense that your inner peace is unshakable. It is yours to protect, and no one else has the power to take it away. Section 3. Handling insults with patience. Insults can cut deep, whether they come in the form of an offhand remark or a direct, deliberate attack. In those moments, it's easy for our emotions to take over, for anger to rise up within us, and for our instinct to be to retaliate. But Buddhism offers a different way of responding, one that doesn't come from a place of reaction, but from patience and self-control. It teaches us that in those moments of insult, the words of others are more a reflection of their own inner turmoil than a true measure of our worth. Understanding this simple truth can change the way we handle criticism, and allow us to move through life with greater grace and inner peace. I remember a time when a close friend made a comment that left me feeling deeply hurt. Their words seemed to cut through me, and my immediate reaction was one of anger. I wanted to respond quickly, to defend myself and strike back, to make sure they knew how wrong they were. But instead of giving in to that urge, I paused. I took a moment to breathe and reflect on the situation. As I reflected, I realized something profound. This insult was not truly about me. It was about them, their frustration, their struggles, their pain. Their words were a reflection of their own inner conflict, not a reflection of my worth or my character. Buddha's teaching, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love," came to my mind in that moment. I understood that if I responded to their anger with anger of my own, it would only perpetuate the cycle of negativity. Retaliation would not bring peace or resolution, it would only add fuel to the fire. But if I chose to respond with kindness and patience, not only would I protect my peace, but I might also create space for understanding and compassion between us. So, I chose to respond calmly, to speak from a place of empathy rather than defensiveness. The result was not just a peaceful resolution in that moment, but a deepening of our connection and a stronger sense of inner peace on my part. What I learned from that experience is that responding to insults with patience doesn't mean ignoring the issue. It doesn't mean letting people walk over you or pretending like their words don't matter. It means choosing how to handle the situation with grace and composure. It's about pausing before reacting, taking the time to reflect on what's truly happening, and responding from a place of understanding, not from hurt or anger. When we choose patience, we allow ourselves to remain steady, no matter how turbulent the situation may be. Over time, you will find that insults have less and less power over you. They will no longer disturb your inner peace the way they once did. This isn't to say that you will never feel hurt or offended again, but rather that you will have developed the ability to manage those emotions, to separate your sense of self-worth from the opinions and words of others. By practicing patience, you begin to realize that no one else has the power to define you or to take away your peace. There will always be people who try to bring you down, who will try to insult, criticize, or belittle you. But when you respond with patience and kindness, you don't just protect your peace, you reclaim your power. You become untouchable, not because you are indifferent or cold, but because you choose to rise above the negativity. You choose not to let it affect your sense of self or your emotional well-being. So the next time you find yourself faced with an insult or an unkind word, remember to pause, take a deep breath, reflect, and ask yourself, what is this really about? Is it about you, or is it about something within the other person? Respond with patience, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to choose a response that keeps your peace intact. In doing so, you will find that insults lose their power to disturb your inner calm. You will discover a new sense of resilience, rooted in understanding, empathy, and the wisdom to choose how you respond. Over time, this practice will transform the way you navigate life's challenges, allowing you to move through the world with grace, understanding, and an unshakable sense of inner peace. Section 4. The power of guarding your mind. Our minds are incredibly powerful. They shape not only how we perceive the world but also how we experience everything in our lives. Each thought we have, whether positive or negative, carries the potential to influence the way we react to situations, how we feel about ourselves, and how we interact with others. If we're not careful, negative thoughts can take root like weeds in a garden, slowly overtaking our mental space, overshadowing our peace, and filling us with anxiety, worry, or self-doubt. This is why Buddhism emphasizes the importance of guarding your mind, just as a gardener tends to their plants, nurturing them and removing weeds. We must tend to our thoughts, ensuring that we nourish the positive and uproot the negative. I've been no stranger to the weight of negative thinking. It's so easy to slip into a cycle of worry or fear, where one negative thought leads to another, and before you know it, your entire mindset has shifted. In those moments, it feels like there's no escape, like you're trapped inside a storm of your own making. I remember times when I was overwhelmed by a relentless stream of doubts, fears, and what-ifs. It felt like a constant battle, trying to keep my mind from spiraling out of control. But one day, after a particularly hard week, I realized something profound. I didn't have to let these thoughts dominate me. I had a choice. I could choose what I focused on. This realization was the first step in my journey to guard my mind. I began practicing mindfulness, paying close attention to when negative thoughts would arise. At first, it was hard. It felt almost impossible to stop the flow of negative thinking, especially when it felt so automatic. But gradually, I became more aware of those moments. And when a negative thought entered my mind, I would pause. Instead of letting it take hold, I would gently shift my focus to something positive, something that empowered me. I would focus on the things I was grateful for, the moments of beauty in my life, or simply the strength I had to keep going despite the challenges. Buddha's teaching, "The mind is everything, what you think, you become," reinforced the importance of this practice. Our thoughts are incredibly powerful. What we choose to focus on shapes the way we see the world and the way we see ourselves. If we focus on negativity, fear, or doubt, those thoughts will grow and expand, eventually dominating our lives. But if we focus on positivity, gratitude, and inner strength, we create a foundation for peace, resilience, and happiness. Our minds, like fertile soil, will grow whatever we plant in them. And the more we focus on nurturing the positive, the more we empower ourselves to live the life we truly desire. By guarding our minds, we ensure that we are nurturing thoughts that support our peace, that support our growth, and that support our overall well-being. It's not about ignoring the negative, it's about recognizing it, acknowledging it, and then choosing to not let it define us. Negative thoughts will always arise. They're part of being human. But we don't have to let them control us. Instead, we can choose to let them pass by, like clouds drifting across the sky, and bring our attention back to the present moment, back to the positive, back to the things that uplift us. This practice of guarding the mind takes time, patience, and consistency. It's like training a muscle. At first, it feels challenging, but with practice, it becomes easier. Over time, you'll find that your mind becomes more disciplined, more focused, and more peaceful. Negative thoughts will still come, but they won't have the same power over you. They'll no longer be able to dictate your emotional state or your behavior. Instead, you'll be able to respond with calm and clarity, knowing that you are in control of what you focus on. As you begin to guard your mind, you'll also start to notice the subtle shifts in your life. The things that once bothered you or triggered you will have less impact. You'll become more resilient, more at peace with yourself and the world around you. You'll also find that your relationships improve, because you're no longer reacting from a place of fear or insecurity. Instead, you're responding from a place of mindfulness, from a place of calm and understanding. And most importantly, you'll find that your happiness is no longer dependent on external circumstances. You'll discover that the true source of peace lies within you, and that you have the power to cultivate it at any moment. So, take a moment today to reflect on your thoughts. Are there any negative patterns that keep repeating themselves in your mind? Are there any fears, doubts, or worries that are taking up too much space? Remember that you have the power to change your focus. You can choose to let go of those thoughts and replace them with ones that nourish your peace and well-being. By guarding your mind, you are giving yourself the gift of inner strength, resilience, and lasting happiness. And the more you practice, the easier it will become to protect your peace, no matter what comes your way. Section 5. Overcoming fear and shame. Fear and shame are two of the most powerful emotions that can hold us back from living authentically and pursuing our dreams. They are heavy, paralyzing forces that can creep into our thoughts, cloud our judgment, and prevent us from stepping into our true potential. Fear often comes from the unknown, the uncertainties of what lies ahead, the potential for failure, or the fear of not measuring up. Shame, on the other hand, is often rooted in past experiences, societal expectations, or the belief that we are somehow not enough as we are. Both emotions, if left unchecked, can keep us from taking action, from being vulnerable, and from truly living the lives we were meant to live. But Buddhism offers a powerful way to face these emotions head-on, to embrace them, and ultimately, to release them. I can vividly remember a time when I was paralyzed by the fear of failure. I had a new project in mind, something I was deeply passionate about. But every time I thought about taking the first step, a wave of fear would rush over me. What if it didn't work out? What if others judged me? What if I wasn't good enough? These thoughts consumed me, and instead of moving forward, I remained stuck, trapped in my own anxiety. The fear of failure became so overwhelming that it stopped me from even trying. But then, one day, I remembered a fundamental teaching of Buddhism, that fear is often an exaggerated response to the unknown. It's not the unknown itself that causes us suffering, but the way we interpret it. We imagine all the worst-case scenarios, and in doing so, we create a narrative of fear that holds us captive. When I realized this, I understood that my fear wasn't a reflection of reality. It was simply my mind trying to protect me from what it perceived as danger, even though no actual danger was present. By acknowledging my fear, by recognizing it for what it truly was, I was able to begin the process of letting it go. Buddha's words, "Even death is not to be feared by one who has lived wisely," spoke to me during this time. They reminded me that when we live in alignment with our values, when we are true to ourselves and our purpose, there is very little to fear. Fear only has power over us when we allow it to, when we let it control our decisions and shape our actions. But when we confront it directly, when we choose to move forward despite it, fear loses its grip on us. The same goes for shame. Shame is often tied to our past, to mistakes we've made, or to the standards set by others. It convinces us that we are flawed, unworthy, or incapable of living the life we truly desire. It's a silent voice that tells us we don't deserve success or happiness. And it can be just as paralyzing as fear. I've had moments when I felt ashamed of my past, ashamed of the choices I made, or ashamed of what others might think of me. These feelings of shame weighed me down, causing me to hide parts of myself and hold back from pursuing what I truly wanted in life. But Buddhism teaches us that shame, like fear, only has power over us when we allow it to. It's a story we tell ourselves about our inadequacies, and it's rooted in external judgments, whether from others or from the expectations we place on ourselves. But when we stop identifying with that story, when we recognize that shame doesn't define us, we can begin to break free. We are not our past mistakes. We are not the judgments others place upon us. We are the sum of our actions in the present moment, and we have the power to change and grow, regardless of what has come before. By confronting both fear and shame head-on, we begin to reclaim our freedom. We no longer allow these emotions to dictate our choices or our sense of self-worth. Instead, we choose to live fully and authentically, free from the constraints of fear and shame. We accept that failure is not the end of the road, but simply a part of the journey, a lesson that guides us toward growth. We understand that our worth is not defined by the opinions of others, but by the love and compassion we show to ourselves. When we stop letting fear and shame control us, we unlock the freedom to live a life that aligns with our deepest values and desires. We can take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them without being weighed down by the fear of judgment or the shame of imperfection. We can pursue our dreams with courage, knowing that we are enough, just as we are. As we confront and release fear and shame, we begin to live in a way that is true to ourselves. We become more resilient, more confident, and more at peace with who we are. And in doing so, we free ourselves to create the life we've always imagined, one that is filled with authenticity, joy, and the unwavering belief that we are worthy of every good thing that comes our way. Fear and shame will always exist in some form, but when we face them directly, we reclaim our power and take back control of our lives. Section 6. Viewing everyone as a teacher. Life brings us countless encounters with others, each one carrying the potential for growth, learning, and personal evolution. Some of these interactions inspire us, lifting us up and teaching us valuable lessons in kindness, compassion, and joy. But there are also moments when we meet people who challenge us, frustrate us, or even provoke us. These are the moments when it's easy to react from a place of anger or defensiveness, to see the other person as an obstacle rather than an opportunity for growth. However, Buddhism teaches us that everyone we meet, whether they challenge or inspire us, can be seen as a teacher. In fact, the people who test our patience the most often offer the greatest lessons. I can recall several times in my life when a close friend or colleague pushed me to the brink of my patience. They would say or do things that irritated me, made me feel misunderstood, or even caused me to question their intentions. In those moments, my first instinct was always to defend myself, to react with frustration, or to shut down emotionally. But over time, I began to realize that these difficult interactions were offering me lessons in ways I hadn't considered. Instead of simply reacting, I took a step back and reflected on why I felt so challenged by this person. What was it about their words or actions that stirred up such a strong emotional response in me? Through that reflection, I recognized that the person wasn't the problem. It was my own response to them that created the discomfort. I also realized that this individual was, in fact, teaching me something vital: patience, communication, and forgiveness. The more I looked at it, the more I saw how these lessons were helping me grow. My initial feelings of anger and defensiveness gradually shifted into an understanding that, while I couldn't control the behavior of others, I could control how I chose to respond. I could choose to listen with an open heart, to communicate more effectively, and to approach the situation with forgiveness, rather than holding on to grudges or letting negativity take root. Buddha's teachings emphasize the importance of viewing everyone as a teacher. Every interaction, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity for learning. When we begin to see the people around us not as adversaries but as teachers, we shift our mindset from one of resistance to one of growth. Each moment becomes a chance to practice patience, understanding, and empathy. Instead of reacting impulsively, we pause and ask ourselves, what is this person trying to teach me? What can I learn from this situation? By adopting this perspective, we not only improve our relationships with others, but we also deepen our self-awareness. We start to recognize the patterns within ourselves, those emotional triggers that cause us to react in certain ways, and we become better equipped to handle future challenges with grace. Over time, this mindset of viewing everyone as a teacher helps us cultivate resilience. We become less attached to our ego's need to be right or to defend ourselves. And instead, we focus on personal growth and the greater good. This practice doesn't mean that we tolerate harmful behavior or stay in toxic situations. It means that we see the opportunity for growth in every encounter, even the difficult ones. For example, if someone criticizes us, instead of immediately shutting down or responding in anger, we can pause and ask ourselves what we might learn from the criticism. Is there truth in it that we need to acknowledge? Is it an opportunity to practice humility or to improve in some way? When we approach criticism or difficult interactions with an open mind, we can turn them into moments of learning rather than moments of conflict. As we continue to view everyone as a teacher, we also begin to see the interconnectedness of all beings. Each person we meet is on their own journey, just as we are on ours. We are all navigating the complexities of life, with our own struggles, joys, and lessons to learn. When we see others through this lens of compassion and understanding, we cultivate a sense of unity, rather than separation. We no longer see people as obstacles to our peace, but as fellow travelers who can offer us valuable insights along the way. The more we practice this mindset, the more it becomes ingrained in our daily lives. We begin to recognize that every person, every interaction, has something to offer us. Whether it's a lesson in patience from someone who challenges us, a lesson in kindness from someone who inspires us, or a lesson in forgiveness from someone who hurts us, we learn to embrace each encounter as an opportunity to evolve. Life becomes a continual learning process, where each moment holds the potential for growth and transformation. This shift in perspective also helps us to live with more peace and contentment. We no longer waste energy on resistance or frustration, but instead, we embrace each moment with openness and curiosity. We understand that every person we meet, whether they are kind or difficult, is helping us to grow into a more compassionate, patient, and understanding version of ourselves. In the end, when we choose to see everyone as a teacher, we transform our relationships, our interactions, and our entire approach to life. We move through the world with greater ease, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity to learn, each person an opportunity to grow. We become more self-aware, more empathetic, and more resilient, equipped to navigate life's twists and turns with grace and wisdom. Section 7. Forging an unshakable ethical code. An unshakable ethical code is one of the most powerful aspects of Buddhist practice. It serves as the bedrock of everything we do, our decisions, actions, and interactions with others. Just like a sturdy foundation supports a house, our ethical principles provide the foundation upon which we build our lives. Without it, we are vulnerable to the winds of external pressures, shifting circumstances, and the whims of our emotions. But when we live in alignment with an ethical code, we find stability, strength, and clarity, no matter what challenges come our way. I've learned that living by core values, especially in times of difficulty, brings an unmatched sense of peace. There was a time, not long ago, when I faced a difficult choice at work. An opportunity arose that could have benefited me personally in a significant way, but at the expense of others. I was tempted. The potential for personal gain was hard to ignore. Yet, as I stood on the brink of making that decision, I realized something crucial. I could choose the ethical path. It would be difficult. I would have to make a sacrifice. But I knew deep down that the right decision was to act in a way that honored my values of integrity, honesty, and respect for others. That choice wasn't easy. In fact, it was one of the most challenging decisions I had to make. But in that moment, I decided to uphold my ethical code, even though it meant losing something I deeply desired. And after I made that choice, something remarkable happened. I felt a profound sense of peace. The temporary loss or sacrifice I had experienced paled in comparison to the deep satisfaction of knowing that I had acted in alignment with my deepest values. I had stayed true to my principles, and that felt more rewarding than any personal gain could have. Buddha's teachings on living with integrity provide a timeless reminder of the clarity and stability that comes from making decisions that reflect our ethical principles. Buddha often spoke of the peace that comes from living authentically, from knowing that our actions align with what we truly believe. When we make choices based on kindness, honesty, and respect for all living beings, we create an inner strength that serves as a guide in times of uncertainty. The storms of life, the challenges, the difficult choices, we can face them all with grace because we know that we are rooted in our values. Integrity doesn't just give us clarity in our decisions. It also brings stability. Life is full of ambiguity. The road ahead is often unclear, and we may face pressures from all sides, whether from work, relationships, or society at large. But when we have a clear ethical compass, we can navigate through uncertainty with confidence. Instead of being tossed about by the winds of change, we stand firm in our principles. We don't have to wonder what the right choice is because we already know. Our ethical code becomes our touchstone, the standard by which we measure every decision. So, I encourage you to reflect on your own core values. What matters most to you? What ethical principles guide your life? Are you living in alignment with those values? Even when it's difficult, the clearer we are about our values, the more confident we become in our decisions. And the more we live in alignment with those principles, the more we strengthen the foundation of our lives. We become unshakable, not because we are immune to the difficulties of life, but because we have built a life that reflects our deepest truths. When you live according to your ethical code, the challenges you face become opportunities for growth, rather than obstacles that knock you off course. You will find that the difficulties you encounter are less intimidating because you have already committed to the path of integrity. It's not always the easiest path, but it is the one that brings the most lasting peace. By choosing to act with honesty, kindness, and respect, you are not only creating a stronger foundation for yourself, but you are also setting an example for others. Your integrity becomes a beacon, guiding not only your own actions but also inspiring those around you to act in alignment with their values. And in this way, we all contribute to creating a world that is more peaceful, more just, and more compassionate. When we are clear about our ethical code, we become stronger, more grounded, and more at peace. We can face any challenge that arises with a sense of purpose and confidence. The world around us may change, and we may face difficulties that test our resilience, but our commitment to our ethical principles will always provide us with the clarity and strength we need to keep moving forward. So, take a moment to reflect. What are your core values? What guides your decisions? When you live in harmony with your ethical code, you'll find that life becomes less about navigating the chaos and more about staying true to who you are, no matter what happens around you. Section 8. Living according to nature. Living in harmony with nature is not just an idea in Buddhism, it is a foundational principle that can deeply transform the way we approach life. At its core, this teaching reminds us that everything in the universe is interconnected. All things, from the smallest grain of sand to the vastest mountain, play their part in the natural flow of life. Just as nature adapts to changes, seasons shift, rivers flow, trees bend in the wind, so must we learn to flow with the inevitable transitions of life. The more we resist change, the more we struggle, the more we embrace it, the more we open ourselves to growth, wisdom, and peace. I recall a period in my life when I faced a personal setback that felt insurmountable. It came unexpectedly, like a storm sweeping in, and at first, I resisted it with everything I had. I tried to fight the circumstances, pushing against the tides of change, unwilling to accept what was happening. I told myself, this can't be happening, I need to make things the way they were. But no matter how hard I tried, I found myself stuck. It was in those moments of frustration that I remembered the teachings of Buddhism. Life, like nature, is impermanent. Change is not only inevitable, it is the very fabric of life itself. Just as the seasons change, so too do the circumstances of our lives. When I finally embraced this reality, that change was not the enemy but a natural part of my journey, I began to let go of the resistance. Rather than pushing against the current, I allowed myself to flow with it. I realized that what I had perceived as a setback was actually an opportunity in disguise. It opened new doors for learning and growth, both personally and professionally. What felt like a roadblock became a catalyst for positive transformation. The moment I stopped fighting against the natural course of life, I started to see possibilities that I had missed when I was focused on holding on to the past. Living in harmony with nature is not about passively accepting everything as it comes, but about recognizing that change is woven into the fabric of existence. It's about understanding that nothing stays the same, everything is in constant flux. This truth, when fully embraced, reduces the stress and anxiety that comes from trying to hold on to things that are bound to change. Imagine a tree in a forest. It doesn't resist the changing seasons, it doesn't fight the wind. It grows with the rhythm of nature. Sometimes it sheds its leaves, other times it blossoms. It adapts, it flows, and in doing so, it remains grounded and strong, no matter what the seasons bring. By accepting the impermanence of all things, we learn to find peace in the present moment, instead of anxiously anticipating what will happen next or mourning what has passed. We can be fully present. This doesn't mean we don't care about our future or that we stop learning from the past. It means that we stop letting them control our peace. When we understand the natural flow of life, we stop clinging to things that no longer serve us, whether they are old habits, outdated beliefs, or past disappointments. The constant flow of life, its challenges, joys, and even losses, becomes something we move through with grace, rather than resistance. Buddhism teaches that living in accordance with the natural order of things brings us more balance, more peace, and more joy. It teaches us to be adaptable, to flow with the changes in life rather than trying to fight against them. It's about accepting the reality of impermanence and seeing the opportunities it brings for growth and renewal. When we begin to flow with life's natural rhythms, we find that we are more resilient, more present, and more at ease with who we are and where we are. The next time you face a change in your life, whether it's a challenge, a loss, or simply the shifting of circumstances, remember that this is part of life's natural rhythm. Instead of resisting, embrace it. Recognize that it's part of the flow, part of the cycle of growth and learning. You may not know exactly where the path will lead, but trust that, like a river, you will find your way. When you embrace life's changes with grace and openness, you create space for something new to emerge, new lessons, new opportunities, and a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Living in harmony with nature doesn't mean that life will always be easy or without its challenges. But it does mean that when those challenges arise, we meet them with a sense of peace, knowing that they too are part of the flow. We stop seeing them as obstacles to be fought and start seeing them as stepping stones on our journey. When we align ourselves with the natural flow of life, we find a deeper sense of purpose, peace, and resilience. Section 9. Weaponizing gratitude. Gratitude is a force of incredible power in Buddhism, often regarded as one of the most transformative practices we can engage in. It may seem simple, yet its effects are profound. In our busy, fast-paced lives, it's all too easy to take things for granted. We get caught up in what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, and the problems that seem to stand in our way. But when we consciously practice gratitude, we make a deliberate shift. We move our focus from what we lack to what we have. This simple shift can completely transform how we experience even the most challenging situations. Instead of seeing obstacles, we start to see opportunities for growth and resilience. There was a time in my life when everything felt overwhelming. I was struggling with personal setbacks, career challenges, and the weight of daily stresses. The world around me seemed chaotic, and it felt like every day was another uphill battle. During that period, I made the decision to start practicing gratitude every single day. I committed to waking up each morning and writing down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, it felt like a forced habit. I had to really think hard to come up with something, even if it was as simple as being thankful for a warm cup of coffee or the quiet moments before the day began. But as the days went on, I began to notice something remarkable. What initially felt like an obligatory practice slowly started to shift my entire perspective on life. I was no longer focused on everything that was going wrong or the things that seemed out of my control. Instead, I began to see the small blessings that had always been there but had previously gone unnoticed. The sun shining through the window, the kindness of a stranger, the support of family and friends. These were the things that filled my heart with gratitude. And as I continued this practice, I began to feel lighter, more grounded, and more at peace. It was like a fog lifted, and I could see the world in a new light. I realized that no matter how difficult life may seem, there is always something to be grateful for. Buddha teaches us that gratitude is more than just saying, "Thank you." It's about cultivating a mindset of thankfulness that remains steady. Even in the toughest of times, it's easy to be grateful when things are going well, but true gratitude arises when we can appreciate life even during hardship. Gratitude, when practiced consistently, becomes a shield. It protects us from the grip of negativity, fear, and doubt. When we focus on what is good, what we already have, we begin to cultivate an abundance mindset. Instead of fearing scarcity, we recognize that there is enough love, enough support, enough opportunity, already surrounding us. Over time, gratitude becomes an integral part of how we move through the world. It doesn't just change our perspective, it changes our very experience of life. When we see the world through a lens of gratitude, we start to feel more connected to others, more appreciative of what we have, and more hopeful about the future. Even in the face of challenges, we can find something to be thankful for, whether it's the strength we've gained, the lessons we've learned, or the growth we've experienced. What is truly remarkable about gratitude is its ability to turn even the most difficult circumstances into opportunities for growth. Take a moment to think about the hardest times in your life. While they were undoubtedly painful, didn't they also teach you something valuable? Didn't they push you to become stronger, wiser, or more compassionate? Gratitude allows us to embrace those tough moments not as burdens, but as stepping stones on our journey. It enables us to find meaning in hardship, and to see how each challenge has shaped us into who we are today. This is why gratitude is such a powerful tool. It allows us to shift our energy. When we choose to focus on what we are thankful for, we release the hold that negativity has on us. Fear, worry, and doubt all fade into the background when we practice gratitude. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness doesn't disappear, but it no longer dominates the space. Gratitude makes us resilient. It teaches us that no matter what happens, we can always find something to be thankful for. This mindset, rooted in abundance rather than scarcity, fills us with hope and strength. So, make it a practice to regularly pause and reflect on what you are grateful for. Start your day by acknowledging at least 3 things that bring you joy, peace, or comfort. And when challenges arise, take a moment to shift your focus to what is going right. Even if it feels small, this simple practice can completely transform your outlook, your relationships, and your life. Gratitude doesn't just change your thoughts, it transforms your actions. When you are grateful, you are more likely to be kind to others, more generous with your time and energy, and more present in every moment. It shifts your energy from scarcity to abundance, from fear to love, and with that shift, you begin to create a life that is full of meaning, connection, and joy. Embrace gratitude as a daily practice. Let it become your shield, your source of strength, and your guide through life's ups and downs. The more you practice, the more you'll realize how much you have to be grateful for, and how much power that gratitude has to shape your reality. Gratitude is not just a practice, it is a way of life. One that has the power to transform everything it touches. Section 10. Embracing silence and mindfulness. In a world that moves at lightning speed, we are constantly surrounded by noise. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with sounds, whether it's the hum of traffic, the constant buzz of notifications on our phones, or the chatter of our thoughts racing through our minds. Physical noise, emotional noise, mental noise, it all piles up, often without us even noticing. But Buddhism teaches us something crucial. Silence is not something to fear. Instead, it is a powerful tool for clarity and peace. In silence, we have the opportunity to truly listen to ourselves, to our thoughts, and to our emotions. And when we embrace silence, we create a space where we can hear things with true understanding, free from the distractions that usually cloud our judgment. I remember a time in my life when everything felt overwhelming. It was as if the noise of the world had reached a deafening crescendo. The demands of work, family, and personal expectations were piling up, and I felt like I couldn't keep up. I felt lost in the chaos, unable to find a moment of peace. One day, in the middle of this whirlwind, I decided to take a break. I stepped away from the noise for just 10 minutes. I sat in complete silence, allowing myself to simply be. At first, it was incredibly difficult. My mind raced with worries, thoughts about the day, the future, the past. I couldn't quiet my mind, and the silence felt uncomfortable, almost unnatural. But as the minutes passed, something shifted. Slowly, I felt a calmness begin to settle over me. The thoughts that had been swirling around in my head started to quiet down, and I was able to just breathe. It was in that stillness that I found clarity, a moment of peace that I hadn't realized I was craving so desperately. That brief moment of silence allowed me to see things from a new perspective, and I moved forward with a renewed sense of purpose and a clearer mind. Mindfulness, which is at the heart of Buddhist practice, is the art of being fully present in each moment. It's about paying attention to what's happening around you and within you, without judgment or distraction. When we practice mindfulness, we cultivate the ability to stay grounded, no matter what chaos may be unfolding around us. It's about creating a space of awareness where we can simply observe our thoughts and feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them. This awareness allows us to experience life more fully, to connect with the present moment in a way that brings us peace and clarity. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is its ability to help us find peace in the midst of life's noise. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of our emotions, thoughts, and external distractions. But by practicing mindfulness, we can create a sense of stillness within, even when everything around us feels chaotic. It's not about escaping the noise or the demands of life, it's about learning how to be at peace within it. When we embrace silence, we give ourselves permission to step out of the constant stream of activity and simply be present with ourselves. We stop trying to fix, change, or control everything, and instead, we allow ourselves the freedom to exist as we are. In this moment, incorporating mindfulness into your life doesn't require long hours of meditation or sitting in silence for extended periods. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anywhere, anytime. It's about being fully present in whatever you are doing, whether it's sipping your morning coffee, taking a walk, or listening to someone speak. You don't have to carve out hours of your day to practice mindfulness. What's important is that you approach each moment with intention and awareness. By paying attention to the small details, how the warmth of your coffee feels in your hands, the sound of the wind rustling the leaves, the taste of the food you eat, you begin to create space for peace. Even in the midst of the busiest of days, the more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll find peace in the present moment. It's a simple but transformative practice that doesn't require any special tools or techniques, just the willingness to be fully present, without judgment. The more you embrace silence and mindfulness, the more you'll begin to experience life with greater clarity and ease. You'll find that even in the most challenging moments, you can remain calm, centered, and focused. The noise of the world may still be there, but it will no longer have the power to disrupt your peace. Instead of being swept away by the current of your thoughts and emotions, you'll learn to navigate through life with a deep sense of inner calm, anchored in the present moment. In the midst of our fast-paced world, we often forget the power of silence. We are so accustomed to the constant hum of activity that we don't realize how much we are missing by not allowing ourselves time to pause and simply listen. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it is a space where clarity can emerge. It is a space where we can connect with our true selves, free from the distractions that keep us from seeing things clearly. When we embrace silence and mindfulness, we invite more peace, more joy, and more awareness into our lives. It is in this quiet space that we can begin to hear the whispers of wisdom that guide us toward a more balanced, harmonious life. By making mindfulness and silence a regular part of your life, you will begin to experience a profound shift in the way you relate to the world around you. You'll find yourself more connected to your own thoughts and emotions, more grounded in the present, and more at peace with whatever comes your way. The noise of life will still be there, but you will learn how to navigate it with grace, clarity, and ease. Silence, once something we often shy away from, will become your most powerful ally in your journey toward peace. As you embrace these 10 Buddhist principles in your life, you'll begin to notice a subtle yet profound transformation. By building inner resilience, you'll not only develop the strength to face any obstacle but also cultivate a calm, unwavering presence, no matter what life throws at you. The beauty of these teachings lies in their simplicity, their ability to ground us in the present moment, and their power to connect us with a deeper sense of inner peace. As you make these principles a part of your daily practice, you will find that challenges no longer have the same hold on you. They won't shake your peace or divert you from your path. Instead, they become opportunities for growth and understanding. You have the strength to rise above the noise, to remain steady even in the face of adversity. By remaining mindful, staying grounded, and nurturing your inner world, you unlock your true power, the power that comes from within. This is where your peace resides. It is in these quiet moments of reflection, in these moments of stillness, that you'll find your greatest strength. The journey is ongoing, and with each step, you grow closer to the peaceful, resilient person you are meant to be. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you found these teachings valuable, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe for more content that can help you on your path toward inner peace and resilience. Your journey toward a more peaceful, mindful life is just beginning, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you practice mindfulness in your daily life? What has helped you build resilience? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation together. Stay strong, stay peaceful, and remember, peace isn't something you find outside of yourself. It's always been inside you, waiting to be discovered. Stay mindful, and until next time, keep walking the path of peace.